Hey lovely people, welcome to today's video. I have a guest here today. This is my brother, his name is Skalk Willem. Will you introduce us to yourself quickly?
Yes, I am Skalk Willem Burger. Of course, that sounds very Afrikaans, yes. I'm the brother of this beautiful lady next to me. I'm the younger brother. I am 18 months younger. I'm in matric this year, and I'm in Durbanville High School. I think I can say that. And yes, I am joining my sister for a interview today.
Cool guys, so today I want to talk to you guys, we want to talk to you guys just about disappointment and just like the reality about that and how it's so real and it happens to us all, and that it's okay to feel disappointed sometimes. So as you all obviously know, COVID happened, and that brought a lot of disappointment for us all in different aspects of life. So yeah, today I just wanted to interview my brother and just ask him, what is his disappointment, or like biggest disappointment about the year, and just what expectations did he have that did not I don't know how do you say that, realize. So tell us a bit about that.
Yes, definitely. I think every stranger that I walk into nowadays asks me, "Oh, you're in grade 12. Everything is gone. How do you feel?" And I think initially when first of all our quarantine was announced, and then later the lockdown, then it was hectic, because then it was still in those first stages of this is a new phase we are going to in, and we are not used to anything like it. And then I think everything that got cancelled there, everything that got stopped there, everything that was put on hold then and there, that was quite a shock. And I think those first few weeks in the lockdown/quarantine period, that was personally I think also difficult, and especially for young people when they go through difficult things, it's very important for them to have people around them. And luckily for me, and I know there's a lot of other teens out there who have their family as that source of someone to talk to, but because of this lockdown you weren't allowed to go and talk to people really about things that you feel. So I think that made it even more difficult to process certain disappointments or feelings that one might have regarding this situation.
And were there any specific like disappointments that you, or expectations that you had for this year specifically, that you felt could not realize because of this COVID time? Or what was like your top 3 disappointments?
I think in the moment, because when quarantine was announced, we were one day away from going on our annual hockey tour, and of course it's my last year. It would have been a large year for me in the hockey season, and I had great expectations personally and also as a team. And I think when that got cancelled, it was a large disappointment for me personally, but also for us as a team. And then of course it's difficult to maintain that team feeling through a lockdown period. I think so that's definitely the one. And I think because I'm also at the leadership at our school, and our first term was such a great success, even though, and now I can say like I'm content with what we did in that first term, back then when quarantine was announced, I was still under the impression, okay, this is going to be an amazing year, because if it already started off like this, then just imagine how it can end. And now you have to compromise largely. And
also something that, just like a quick follow-up before I continue, a follow-up on last week's video, I'll link it up here, and that I did. I told you guys that I did an audition for university choir. I am Stellenbosch University's choir. And I didn't get in, so sadly. But obviously I was at first very disappointed, because my human expectation and my plan that I had was obviously, it would be so amazing to get in. But also to just realize that wasn't the plan for my life, and to make peace with that. And the Lord has just been so amazing and so merciful to me during this week, really, to just comfort me. And also to make you understand that now you don't see the bigger picture, but there is a reason, and there's ultimately he's got something amazing in store for you. But anyway, so yeah, I just want to ask you, how do you cope with this? Yeah, and what mind shift did you make? And yeah, really just what was your motivation to yourself during this time?
I think when initially it just seemed like a long overdue holiday that we gained, so I was quite happy with that. And then after a while it was quite long, and I started to do academics again online, but still not really connected to everyone around. And then I just started, and then I just felt the Lord was telling me, okay, you have to start becoming social with people outside of the house again, just to make sure that not only you but people around you are also fine. Because one thing that I felt the Lord told me also during the beginning of the quarantine stages was you are accountable for the position of influence He has given you.
Sure.
And one day He will ask you, well, I gave you this, what did you do with that? And then I think it definitely started to get going again, but of course it's not the same as it was. And as my sister also said, now with her disappointment, one realization that I also became aware of, and that I also shared with some others around me, is I came to realize that no matter what we can do or what can happen in the world or what can happen to us, nothing of that can change what the Almighty God has for each one in store, and what they are called to do, what He created them, what they were born with as a passion, as a calling. Nothing we can do can change that. And I think once one realizes that, then it's easier to set aside disappointments and to get going again, to work towards what He wants you to do for His kingdom.
And something else I just thought of when you talked about the accountability in Matthew 25, one of the parables the Lord talks about. It's the parable of the bags of gold. Then for the two servants that did there, you can go and read that. It's Matthew 25 verse 14 to 30. But what He says to the two servants that were faithful and that kind of like did the job that He expected of them, He said to them, well done. This is verse 21. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. So just like that thing about taking responsibility, like you said, and also just like engaging in community and taking the responsibility of, because it's for us, I think, like human nature, we don't we tend to stay isolated. Like it's difficult to go out and to have community and have fellowship, but to push yourself, especially during this time that's still left, is to go out, have fellowship, have community with people. It's important for one.
And to add to that, a while ago, when I was just reading again through the beginning in the Garden of Eden, I think a lot of us are aware that after everything the Lord created, He said it was good, and then after He created man, He said, okay, it is very good. But still, even after that, He said, well, it's not good for man to be alone. So even after the very good of creating man, He said we should not be alone. So He still put relationship above the person isolated and himself. So that emphasizes how even the Lord is so for relationships and so strongly wants us to have it. And I think that was one of the main things that the enemy was able to use through this lockdown time, is the isolation and the not necessarily breaking down of relationships, but sometimes the inability to grow relationships because it's not intimate and face to face anymore.
My mother always talks about the battlefield of the mind. So the enemy, what he wants to do is he wants to isolate you, and he wants to get you alone and not having community with others, and then you're like trapped in your mind. And once he can get you alone with your thoughts, it just spirals downwards, and it's not good. So we actively need to fight against that and fight against isolation. I think that's an important thing. And then just one more thing I want to mention that I've also realized is back on the disappointment topic, to realize that it's okay to feel disappointed. One thing I've also realized, it's very important that you feel your emotions and that you don't push them away or like just bury them beneath, I don't know what, piles of pretend and masks. No pun intended, but to experience, if you feel disappointed, then feel disappointed. But after you felt that emotion, because if you don't feel it, then it's left inside, and eventually it's going to explode. You have to feel it sometime. But when you felt that, to move on and to not ponder on that for too long. So acknowledge the feeling and the emotion, but then when you felt it, then you move forward.
And I think an excellent example of that is Jesus in the Garden of in the Garden of Gethsemane, where he asked his Father.
Sure,
he felt that strong emotion of it was maybe I think anxiety or fear, because he knew what was going to happen to him, and he still asked, Lord, can this cup pass? So he confronted what he felt, and what better way to confront it than with the Almighty God. And then after he in his subconscious probably heard the Lord tell him, this is the only way, he accepted that and he moved on, because he knew, okay, this is what the Lord planned for me, so let me just do it.
Sure. Okay, cool guys, that was today's video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to, and leave me a comment down below any content you would like to hear in the future, any questions, any just random thoughts. Cool, so that was relationships, disappointments, accountability, fellowship. I
am Willem.
And I am Grete. Bye guys.